Good evening, Purple family. Welcome to another episode of Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast. On tonight's episode, I'm going to be counting down my favorite top 10 Prince funk songs. So right when I announced this episode, I got a comment from one of our Purple brothers, and he said, "Don't you get tired of doing these top 10 countdowns?" And I answered emphatically, no. I really like doing these because it gives you a picture of, all the different aspects of Prince's career, especially when it comes to the different genres of music that he's done. He's done funk, he's done rock and roll, R&B, just all these different genres. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. And so because of that, there's a lot of material that you can go through. I've done a lot of these countdowns. I've done a countdown about his ballads, his slow songs. I've done my overall favorite songs of his. And at some point, I'm probably going to start looking at some of my favorite songs on the 39 albums that he put out during his lifetime. So I've got a couple of different series just evolving his music that I can do. And yes, I know that I am the Mojo, watchmojo.com of these countdowns. For those of you who are not familiar, there is a channel on YouTube called watchmojo.com. They do all these top 10 episodes. Just about anything you can name, they've probably done a top 10 episode about. And so I've kind of done this a little bit with my podcast, and these episodes really get nice plays. But if there's something else that you would like for me to research and talk about, just please let me know down in the comments on Spotify, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you hear this podcast. Please let me know and I will try to do more of those. I do have some book reviews that I have coming up. Morris Day's book, A Princely Time in Funk. I'm going to probably be trying to do that in the next week or so. So I've got some other things planned, but just let me know what you want to hear and I got you. So let's get straight into it. Now, we know that Prince is a funky brother. He has funk roots going back to his childhood. He was a huge fan of James Brown, the one and only godfather of soul and funk. And he was also a big fan of Sly and the Family Stone. They did a lot of funk. But he took a lot of his funk directions from James Brown. So in a lot of these songs, you will definitely hear James Brown's influence, especially in the one I picked for number 10, Housequake. Now, when Housequake is played live, you can really hear the James Brown influence in the doom doom, especially in the way the bass line is played. It just has James Brown written all on it. And one of my favorite videos on YouTube of him performing Housequake, he did an awesome version during the Love Sexy tour over in Europe. But my favorite video, one of my favorite performances online of Prince, because unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get to see him in person. But one of my favorite videos is the Housequake performance that he did at Paisley Park in 1987 for the New Year's Eve. I think it was like a benefit concert that they did at Paisley Park. And he had on the peach and black outfit. He had almost kind of like how James Brown had his hair all curly and pretty, and so that performance right there of Housequake, even though the audio isn't the best, and it's still pretty good. And what I like about that particular performance is, of course, he looked like $1 million, but I like the fact that anytime, he does Housequake back in the day in the 80s, he would do the splits. He would perform Housequake, in the early 2000s, and he would just do like a little jump. But when he would do that split, y'all, I was just like, wow. Like he would go, and then he would do like the little tricks, doing the splits with the mic stand and all that. So you really can't see it too much in that video, but he does do a little bit of that. And another thing I like about this performance is he has everybody in the band jumping. When he says quake, everybody is jumping. All the people that are on the keyboards are jumping. Like you could even see Eric Leeds on the saxophone jumping. So it's like, and you see people in the audience also jumping. So Housequake is a funky song that really gets you. It's almost pretty much it's a dance song. And because he says, tell me who in the house know about the quake. We do. And he used to, back in the day, he used to, swear a little bit, like, bullshit, in that particular video, he really just like, bullshit. Like, he really gets into it. And it's one of those songs that, to me, it sounds better live than it does on the Sign of the Times studio. I like that version too, and I'll play it if I'm listening to the Sign of the Times album, but I do prefer Housequake performed live. It's just one of those songs that it just sounds better live. Like, you can really hear that bass line coming out, and you could just tell that the drums, especially, Sheila E., she played the hell out of them drums, okay, in that particular concert. And she did an awesome job. And because, he says, I can't even think of none of the lyrics right now, y'all, but he says, in the kick drum on the one, no, the kick drum is the fault. And then he says, what was the other instrument? It's just one of those songs that, I don't know, it just gets you on your feet. And it's just like, I every time I hear a Housequake, I'll play it a couple of times over because it's just so funky. And what makes it funky to me is the beat. It makes you want to get up and jump around and just have fun. And then I like, he does a little, thinking about the lyrics now in the song. He says, don't wait for your neighbor, green eggs and ham. So like, he's like playing Dr. Seuss now. He just let it all out. And I think Housequake, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the earlier songs that he did right after he recorded it, not too soon after the Revolution disbanded. And there was a lot of talk around the time that the Revolution disbanded that the reason why he let the Revolution go is because he was kind of wanting to get back to that more, funk sound. The Black Album was initially called the Funk Bible before the name was changed to the Black Album, because he wanted to get back to more of those, I want to say, quote unquote, black music. Because, for the most part, funk music has largely been a black music mainstay. When you think of funk artists like Parliament Funkadelic and George Clinton and Bootsy Collins and all of them, and James Brown and Rick James, funk has largely been a black musical art form. So because of that, a lot of people thought that with the Revolution and him doing all this pop music, that he was kind of losing his edge as far as getting back into the traditional black forms of music, which are funk, R&B, so that's why you have ballads like Adore on Sign of the Times, because Adore, when you think about it, it sounds like it could be a song that Luther Vandross would do, or some other like R&B crooner that was really popular at the time, because he felt like, look, I can do that too. There is no genre of music that Prince felt that he couldn't do, And so Sign of the Times, that's what made Sign of the Times such a magnificent, wonderful, thematic, album. It's because he really was combining all the different type of genres in one album. And there's many artists that don't do that are kind of don't like to experiment in that way. And that's what makes Prince stand out to me as an artist, because he's taking funk, R&B, jazz, and putting it all in one album, sometimes in the same song even, because you could look at a song like Play in the Sunshine and it sounds kind of poppy, but it also has like a kind of like some jazzy undertones as well. And Housequake, like you can see Housequake as being a funky song, but it can also pass as a little bit of a pop song as well. So it really just depends on, how you look at it. But number 10 is Housequake. Number 9 is Bob George, which a lot of these funk songs you'll see are going to be from the Black Album. And I just did my review on the Black Album, so check it out if you hadn't got a chance to listen to that episode. But Bob George is a really strange song. Like a lot of Prince's funk songs, this song tells more of a story. and that he is playing this character who is kind of this really shady, really dangerous guy. And he is basically very abusive to his girlfriend and telling her, that she doesn't appreciate all the stuff that he does for her. He tells her, go get that wig. No. The brown and red, the brown and red one. And then he like shoots her. He says that you don't, all you do is suck up heat and TV dinners, and you complain about them TV dinners, but you eat a lot of them motherfuckers. Like, he's just going off at her at this time. But then what really stands out is he's actually talking about two people. And I've talked about this on my Black Album review, so I won't really go too much into it here. But he's talking about two people, Bob Cavallo, which was his old manager, and Nelson George. So that's why he got the Bob George. Those two names were from those two people. Nelson George was a critic back in the day who used to always, say, well, I don't know if all of his reviews on Prince's stuff was negative, but there were some things that, he said that Prince apparently didn't like. And so he was kind of, he called him almond-shaped head ass. And I said in my Black Album review, if you go and look at pictures of Nelson George, he does have an almond-shaped head. So I thought that was hilarious. And we need to do an episode talking about Prince's like comedic side, because he is hilarious. Like, he could have been a comedian, like straight up. But anyway, so in this song, it's a really dark song. And, he's, shooting at the police and, shooting his girlfriend and just talking all type of shit about himself, because he was like, Bob George, who is that? He was like, he managed rock stars. He's like, well, who he managed? Prince? That skinny motherfucker with the high voice? Like, he says that about himself. So he already knows. I'm surprised he didn't say something about his height, which he's talked about his height in other songs. But, that's kind of what a lot of people make fun of him for, is, him being so short and so small. But he makes fun of himself. But it's funky because he's got that, that robotic voice. And, Parliament Funkadelic in a lot of their songs, they would use, those voice modifiers and things like that, modulators or whatever you call them. And so it's a funky song. It's a weird, funky song, but I like it. It was a song that definitely had to grow onto me. Because when I first heard it, I was just like, okay, this is wild. And even when my husband, when he first heard it, he was just like, okay, this is different. But I appreciated what Prince was trying to do with the song. He kind of, felt some type of way about his treatment by these two individuals. And he was just kind of almost like caricaturing them, or caricature, however you say it. He was just basically making fun of them, and that's basically, it's like, once again, showing his comedic side. And I thought it was pretty funny. So that's number 9. Number 8 is Rebirth of the Flesh, which it was supposed to, now this song also is very funky. It was supposed to have came out when Prince was going to be doing the Camille album, which, if for those that don't know, Camille is another like kind of like Jamie Starr and Tora and Spooky Electric, all these different incantations of Prince. They're all Prince, but he plays like this character, like Gemini with the Batman soundtrack. So Camille was the sped up voice that you hear in songs like If I Was Your Girlfriend. That's who Camille is. And so there was supposed to be an album with all of these songs on there. If I Was Your Girlfriend being one, Rebirth of the Flesh was another, Shockadelica, which is also on my countdown. So all these different songs with that sped up voice was supposed to be on an album, but the album got aborted because Prince, around this time, 85 to 86, he was working on like 3 different projects at the same time. He was, of course, working on the Parade album. And then after that was done, he started wanting to work on what was going to be an album called The Dream Factory. He was working on another project that was going to be Crystal Ball. And then he was working on Camille. So eventually he pared down all 3 of these projects and into what would become Sign of the Times. But Crystal Ball we would get later in 98. And Rebirth of the Flesh, I believe, was on there. But they didn't put that out until, I believe, because Crystal Ball has so many songs on it, y'all. But they did put it out in the September of 2020 when they put out the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Edition. Rebirth of the Flesh was on there, and that, I think that's the first time that I think I heard it. But a lot of these songs, if they didn't get previously released, you can find them like on YouTube, because a lot of these songs have been bootlegged to death. So most of these songs are easily found if they're not already on albums. So Rebirth of the Flesh, it's funky because it's got the Camille voice. And, but I like it. You know, it's definitely worth a replay if you hadn't. Matter of fact, I just listened to it, before I started recording this, podcast. So I really like it. So check out, Rebirth of the Flesh when you get a chance to. That is number 8. Number 7, moving along, is Shakadelica. So Shakadelica, the way it's described in the song is it sounds like it's a woman, you know, because he says, you know, the smell of doom. And when you think of the smell of doom, you think of like rotting and, you know, just, it doesn't smell good. And creeping into your lonely room. I'm just like, okay. And he has that. So it almost sounds like he's combining Camille with Spooky Electric, which is this other character that he created for songs like Dance with the Devil, which was a B-side to one of the songs on the Batman soundtrack. I want to say maybe Bad Dance or Party Man. It was a B-side. But anyway, so Shakadelica also has kind of an interesting history in that it is also the name. Let me get me some water, y'all. Sorry. Shakadelica is the name of Jesse Johnson's album. I don't want to say it was his first album. I'm not sure. But Prince offered Shakadelica as a song to Jesse Johnson. And Jesse Johnson said no, you know, because Prince was one of those people who thought, if you want to have an album, you need to have a title track. And so he told Jesse, like, look, I'll give you this song, Shakadelica, because that's the name of your album. And Jesse Johnson, he was like, no, man, I'm good. So this is the whole shit that Prince did. So Prince was like, well, I'm going to put out this song before you can put out your album. So people will think that Shakadelica, when they think of Shakadelica, they won't think of your album. They'll think of this song. I'm like, come on. But he did that. He so did that. And so I don't know if that's what actually took place, but I didn't even really know about Jesse Johnson's album until I started doing some research. And sure enough, when I think of Shakadelica, I don't think of Jesse Johnson's album. Me personally, I think of this song by Prince, and it's talking about a girl, and that's her name, Shakadelica. And she's how can I describe her? She's shocking. So Shakadelica, but he's using the Camille voice. The Camille voice is basically like his funky persona, if you haven't already guessed that at this point. So that is a number 7. So number 6 on the countdown, we have La 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 Hee Hee Hee. So when I think of this song, I think that it is kind of Prince's version of, I guess, Parliament Funkadelic's Atomic Dog. And because it's a song about, according to Sheena Easton, who also co-wrote this song, it's about a cat teasing a dog the cat is in the tree and she's teasing a dog. And she actually started writing this song because she has 6 cats. So yeah, she's the cat lady. And she was just sitting around one day, her and Prince, and she started to write this song. And so she was like, just messing around. And Prince was like, well, what is the song about? And she's like, well, it's about this cat teasing this dog that's in this tree. And so she was just like, la, 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 And he was like, you should record that and make it a song. And she was like, she was just being, she said, sarcastic at the time, that she didn't, really think nothing of it. She was just trying to just, kind of like hum stuff. You know, a lot of songwriters, they kind of already, you know, even though they're putting down words on paper, they're kind of thinking about, you know, chord changes and how they want the music to come together for the song. And so that's basically what she was doing. And so Prince was like, well, yeah, make it a song. And so she was just like, what? And so that's basically how the song happened, is they came together and made a song about a cat, you know, teasing a dog. And, you know, of course, if you listen to the song, it sounds kind of, you know, sexual and kind of the same way that Atomic Dog was. And so he, of course, Prince being Prince, he made it kind of, you know, a lot of sexual innuendos in that song. But then you hear the dog barking throughout the song. Yeah, my dog barking is terrible, so I'm sorry. But yeah, but listen to it. It's another interesting, funky song. I think in the same vein, like I said, it's Parliament Funkadelic in a way, because it sounds like something that, you know, they would do. But there's other songs on this list that I think are more Parliament Funkadelic style than La La He. But definitely, to me, it's in the same vein as that song. So that is number, where we at? 6. So number 5 is Rock Hard in a Funky Place. So it's another song that's on the Black Album, the Funk Bible. And it's another song written or sung in the Camille sped up voice. And so it's another song that is very highly sexual, and that he's basically saying that he is in a, I guess you could call it a whorehouse, and he has a heart on. And funky place, you know, when you think of a whorehouse, you think of it being funky. And like I said in my Black Album review, we're not going to discuss why. I think it should be quite obvious why a whorehouse would be funky. But he's basically saying, like, you know, I'm rock hard in a funky place. And I mean, I don't know if he, you know, has a problem with wanting to go in and get a whore. But he's just talking about, like, you know, and then he has this one, you know, somebody moaning, and, you know, he's talking about, you can't concentrate because your dick's so hard. And so you decide to pop a nut in the car, and he does this like guitar solo. And so it's another song that's just kind of just all over the place, which a lot of these funk songs tend to be. And if you are familiar enough with funk, like I keep going back to Parliament Funkadelic, if you're familiar with their songs, you see they're all over the place when you listen to them. So he does it in almost the same vein as them. And also James Brown, even though his funk songs are much more, you know, organized, but sometimes, you know, he can get off on a tangent too, you know, like that Please song, when he says please like 57 times. Like, please, 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 please. Like, okay, James, we get it. So it's kind of like that. And then it's all over the place, but it has a nice little beat to it. And he does a really good guitar solo in it. I'm going to do another top 10 Langston on my favorite guitar solos. So be on the lookout for that as well. But Rock Hard in a Funky Place is number 5. So moving on to number 4, we have Scarlet Pussy, Pussycat, Pussycat. Wherefore art thou pussy? Now this really, to me, sounds like a Parliament Funkadelic song. And it is actually the B-side for If I Wish You Heaven, which is on Love Sexy. So Prince has this thing where he will take a song like I Wish You Heaven, like a very spiritual, you know, song. And then he'll, on the B side, it'll be something like really sexual and dirty, like Scarlet Pussy. Or he'll take, you know, a song like Erotic City, and the A side will be Let's Go Crazy, which I believe that is the A side to Erotic City. And so he, you know, he just had this dichotomy because he really believed that spirituality and sexuality were intertwined with one another. He didn't think that they were separate. He really thought that they worked together. And so he really had a habit of, you know, making songs that were really sexual on the B side of a spiritual song, or, you know, he would always flip flop them. And so this is the case with Scarlet Pussy. And so in this song, he's obviously, talking about a woman. And it kind of reminds me on the slick tip of Little Red Corvette in a way, because in the same way that the Little Red Corvette, Ming Ling, or whoever you want to believe she is a fast woman, because she'll make you, embarrass yourself, because she's so fast. And in Scarlet Pussy, he says she'll make you, basically he's talking about, coming on somebody's sheets, but, put your dignity out there, because she's so good at what she does that, you're just, there it is on the sheets. I'm just like, he is so nasty, because that Scarlet Pussy know what she doing. You feel me? So yeah, I like it. It is very much in the vein of, I keep saying it, in Parliament Funkadelic, because it just is. So for those of you who have not listened to these songs or have never what the fuck are you talking about? Which I would assume a lot of my audience have heard most of these songs, but for the ones who haven't, please go check out these songs. And I might even put some of them on the Facebook page just so you can listen to them. But Scarlet Pussy is just one of those songs that you've got to listen to. It's just a very interesting song, and how he is very, as always, how do you want to say it? He is sexually beautiful, or what am I trying? He's dirty but sexy with it. Sexy dirty. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Very dirty, very sexy, and it's a good song. Now, number 3, We Can Funk. Okay, so there's been a couple of iterations of this particular song. Now, the We Can Funk that I put on the countdown is referring to the George Clinton duo, a song that he did on Graffiti Bridge. I tested positive for the funk, and I gladly pee in anybody's cup. And when your cup overflows. So I like that version, but the original version is actually called We Can Fuck. And it's more of a rock and roll type of song. And it's good. It's awesome. But he keeps the same lyrics for We Can Funk. He changed the lyrics from We Can Fuck to We Can Funk in about 1986 or so, because it was also a song that was going to be on the Camille album. And so he changed it around that time. And then he kind of remixed it again for the Graffiti Bridge album. And to me, outside of Thieves in the Temple, I think that We Can Funk is probably the best song on the Graffiti Bridge album. And I just like the fact that he is revealing a lot about himself in the song, and the fact that he says that, he could be a girl or a boy. It's up to you. So he says that when it comes to, what he can do in the bedroom, he's very gender fluid. It's like, hey, I could be your big, strong man, or, whatever you need me to be, I'm going to be. And it just makes you just be like, okay, Prince, he was the type of person that you really got to know the type of person he was through his music, because he didn't do a lot of interviews. He was very shy. So this was his way of opening up. If you're ever really curious about how Prince really was, he's telling you in these songs, so, and it's funny that, he said that because, Robin Power has said that having sex with Prince was a lot like having sex with a woman, she could, and of course she did that because she was bisexual. So she has made the comment that, being with Prince was a lot like having sex with women, but she also said it was also like, he could turn it up, he could, get real, real aggressive, like, any other, male. So, he was able to do both very well. But anyway, moving on. So number 2, we have Chlorine Bacon Skin, which ended up on the Crystal Ball album that came out in 98. But it goes all the way back. It was recorded back in 1983. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that it is Morris Day that is on the drums and Prince is on the bass. And it's one of those songs, it's about 15 minutes long. And it's a song that I think a lot of Prince fans, well, not maybe a lot, but the people that are not really into like his funk songs really don't like the song. But I love it. I loved it from the first time I heard it. And yeah, it is long, but it's just like it's basically just him and Morris just jamming out, I think, and just kind of joking around in the studio. But it's really, really good. I mean, and then Morris Day's drumming is awesome. And for people that don't believe that Prince is a bass player like that, they really need to listen to this song because he is playing the bass in this song. And like I said, I'm not a musician myself, so there might be somebody like, oh, that bass playing was okay. It was average. Okay, well, it sounded really good to me. So he definitely was a wonderful bass player. And of course, we knew he was great on guitar. Like there was not an instrument, I don't think, that he played on the expert level that he did, that it didn't sound wonderful, and the bass being one of them. So he plays a hell of a bass in the song. And he even makes reference in this song. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably maybe didn't catch this, but Alfred, when he's talking about Alfred in the song, about putting on your hat, Alfred, you ready to go? Now, Alfred was the name of one of his half brothers on his mother's side. Before he was born, his mother had a son named Alfred. And I think Alfred, at some point, he was put into like a home because I think he had some mental health issues, I believe, or some developmental issues, something like that. But Alfred, he's actually talking about one of his half siblings, his older brother on his mother's side. So I just thought that was really sweet that, he must have been thinking about him when he was doing that jam session, and he put his name in there. Because now, of course, in the song, Prince is playing another one of his characters, Jamie Starr. And Jamie Starr is like the old man. He popped up again in the late 90s when he was doing A New Power Soul, that song, Come On. They did a video. He did a whole video as Jamie Starr. So Jamie Starr popped up later, but Jamie Starr popped up quite a bit during this time in the early 80s. And like I said, I think this was recorded back in like 82, 83. And so because Jamie Starr is the name that Prince gave as the producer of the Times, their albums, as well as Vanity 6 albums. So because he created Jamie Starr because he got tired of seeing his name on everything. And he thought that fans would also get tired of seeing his name on everything. So he invented this character called Jamie Starr. And that's who he's playing in this song, Chlorine Baconstin. Now, Chlorine is, of course, Jamie Starr's wife. And she's ugly. And he's talking about her kind of bad in the song. But the beat in the song, I mean, it's just such a good song. And there's not a lot of lyrics because, like I said, they're just pretty much jamming in the studio. But it's still a great listen. And so for those of you to say, oh, I hate this song, give it another listen. Like, seriously. Like, I know it's not like that's what I like about Prince because, I mean, variety, as they say, is the spice of life. And I think he fully embraced that concept. And so you could take a song like Chlorine Baconskin and just throw it on an album and just be like, okay, all right, we're going to go with it. Like, we're going to go with it. We really don't know what's going on, but we're going to vibe with it. I mean, because he just wanted the music out there. That's what his big dispute about what Warner Brothers is about, was he just wanted to put the music out there. And who liked it, who don't. But hey, it's out there for your enjoyment. And that's just how he thought about it, But his songs were like his children, So he cared about them and he wanted other people to care about them. But he just had to get it out there because he had some more stuff coming. He was constantly, music was constantly on his mind. That's why he lived in the studio. So he just had to keep the music coming because more of it was being created in his mind. So that is number 2. So finally, number 1, y'all probably already guessed, Erotic City. All of my purple life, I've been looking for a dame. So my husband likes to joke that I did not like the song at first. And I admit I didn't. I know. But it had to grow on me, but it has definitely grown on me. And when I think of a Prince funk song, Erotic City is always the first song that I think about. And him and his duet with Sheila E. I loved it. And apparently the creation of this song was based off of Prince supposedly going to a Parliament-Funkadelic concert. And when he left the concert, he went into the studio and made the song. Now, Sheila E. said that for her part, she didn't want to say the word fuck. So she's actually saying we can funk into the dawn. And Prince is actually saying the real word. He's actually saying fuck, but she's saying funk because she was just like, I can't say this, Prince, so I'm going to just say funk. But we can funk until the dawn, making love till cherries gone. Erotic city, can't you see? Fuck so pretty, you and me. I mean, it sounds like a really sexy Parliament-Funkadelic song because that's how they would talk about sex in their songs. I mean, so it's you could put Erotic City up to any song that George Clinton and fam did. And it would be just a sister song. And matter of fact, I think that George Clinton actually performed Erotic City at Paisley Park at one of those concerts that they put on. So he really, and I've heard that George Clinton really loved the song as well. So that is it. Also, real quick. Erotic City is also a B-side. And some of these are B-sides, but Erotic City is the B-side to Let's Go Crazy. Like I was saying earlier about that dichotomy of him wanting to do spiritual songs and sex songs. So Let's Go Crazy is talking about God and Satan. So it is a spiritual song, even though it's a rock song. And of course, in the beginning, Dearly Beloved, it's almost like he's a pastor, so that's more of a despite the jarring guitar solo, which when I say jarring, I mean, I really liked it, but, it's more of a spiritual song. Let's Go Crazy is. And now on the B side, we've got this really sexy, dark, erotic city, makes me want to go to Erotic City after hearing this song. Because who would want to fuck so pretty? I'm just saying. All right. Well, I'm going to end the podcast there. I'm sorry about having to take some water and all that. I don't know what's going on. I guess when I get to talking for a while, my throat just gets dry. I don't know what's going on with that. So my apologies for that, y'all. But anyway, I'm actually going to try to go live on YouTube later for like a little chat and Q&A. So if you're interested in this and you've made it to the end of this episode, please join me on YouTube because I've never went live on YouTube before. I've went live on Facebook a few times and I'm going to continue to try to do that. I might even start going live maybe once a month on YouTube and maybe once a month on Facebook. I don't know. Whatever you guys want me to do, let me know. I'm going to be talking about when I'm going to start trying to do some more stuff with the YouTube channel. Like I said, I'm having to get another computer that will allow me to do more videos. Because right now, my husband's little computer is just not. And I got some things going on in my personal life that's kind of preventing me from buying the computer that I need right now. So I just want y'all to continue to be patient with me on that. Give me a little grace as well. As far as the podcast, though, I'm going to try to do another episode next weekend about Morris Day and the Purple Kingdom. I'm going to be reviewing his book. I know I said the name earlier, but now it escapes me. A Princely Time and Funk. And it's only like 200 pages. And I really felt like, and I've read it a few times, and I really felt like Morris Day could have did more. Like he could have given us some more intel. But, he had his reasons for wanting to keep, whatever to himself. But I'll talk about that when I do my review. So anyway, until I see you guys or hear you guys again, peace and be wild, and may you live to see the dawn. Bye.